Okay. I want to invite up Simon Hale. He's a portfolio manager. They own 300,000 shares of Tesla. Had him on our space last week, and it was incredibly well received. Simon, thank you for that. I published that on YouTube, and people absolutely loved your perspective because you come at it from an institutional investor perspective. You explained how you think differently as a personal on your own personal account, why you buy Tesla versus what kind of pressure you get from the wealthy families that you represent and those portfolio they're managing, and how you have to get through this. How are you guys viewing the vote that's coming up? Because the topic today is there's a lot of Tesla bulls, and some of them are starting to get scared. They're starting to feel like this worst case scenario is Elon's going to leave immediately if both votes turn negative. He'll take all the AI team with him. Tesla becomes a car company for its future, and there's no incredible future that we all thought it was. And so they're paring down their investment. How are you viewing that?
Sorry, I had to unmute. You can hear me okay?
Yes.
Great.
Perfect.
So thanks for having me, Herbert. 2 points. For the retail investor who owned Tesla stock, one of the lessons I learned 20 years ago when investing in stocks or stonks, if you want to call them, was actually written, say, 100 years ago by John Maynard Keynes. And I always try to remember this when stocks go in what I believe the wrong direction. And that quote is, "Markets can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent." And I want Tesla investors to think of that every time the stock goes down to a point where it's very, very painful. I think that's helped me through many, many difficult situations when stocks become irrational for a long period of time. That aside, Scott, Machine, you guys made some excellent points. I wanted to throw this out there. I agree with you guys. I don't think Elon's going anywhere. He can't, and even if he did, which that's not, I don't even think that's on the table, and I'll tell you why. But is that this company, the FSD, it is on its way. It is rolling out, and him staying with the company or not, and that's the 10x that most people have been waiting for. Robots, Scott, I agree with you. He can't allow that to. And what's the brilliance of Tesla? It's not the machines they make; it's the machines that make the machines. There's nobody else that could scale profitably EVs or robots, for that matter. Now, maybe he could go and do that elsewhere, but I want everybody to think about this for a second. I've seen Elon pull more rabbits out of hats, and he is probably not just the most brilliant engineer that I've ever come across, but also from a financial standpoint, he is a whiz at understanding markets, and he's just a brilliant, brilliant business operator. And you can just go back to, things that he's done in the financial crisis where GM is going bankrupt, but miraculously, he's got an EV startup that seems to make it through and thrives afterwards. But go through some periods where he's going through what he calls production hell. And even personally, we were concerned that the company has a chance of going bankrupt. But he pulls a rabbit out of a hat, and we all witnessed it. The 420 tweet, it got rid of all the shorts, and they survived. And even more recently, just a few weeks ago, when Bloomberg was posting things before the earnings call, he turns around and lays out, a tweet and just turns everything. Now, the reason I'm pointing these things out, and everybody I'm sure can think of different instances where he's done something absolutely brilliant in business, is what did this tweet do? Apart from having a couple people worried and selling, now people are debating whether he's going to leave or not. But people who are on the fence, Sweden, I heard about, all of a sudden people are voting in Sweden. Retail investors are coming out. What did I do? I actually looked at this and said, I've never voted Tesla shares before. I just did for the first time for 300,000 shares. But I'm also sending an email and contacting other people within our firm saying, hey guys, most people don't vote this stuff. We need to get it voted. And are you guys, it'll probably affect a couple $100 million worth of stock. Great. But if I'm doing that, there's got to be other people that are, just rolling up their sleeves and saying, hey, we need to make this happen. So My take on it is he has no intention of leaving. This is what he needs to do to get people riled up, to get the retail investor, saying, hey, you know what, let's not sit back and just own the stock. We need to get involved in this, and this isn't right. That's kind of my take on this, and he's a brilliant operator.
Brilliant comments. Thank you, Simon. Back piggybacking on that comment, Jeff, I was going to ask you, didn't we see Elon follow BlackRock CEO? What do you guys think of that? I mean, that means, right, the board is probably going around and making sure that the large institutional investors are going to vote the right way, and BlackRock is one of the big ones. Maybe.
Yeah, it's the chief investment officer at BlackRock, Rick Reeder, who's brilliant, actually, I think, and he has a really good feel for markets as well. He manages over $3 trillion in assets, and Elon recently followed him. So I mean, I think he leaves breadcrumbs kind of everywhere, on purpose, and we can say it's conspiracy or not, but whatever, or just have a tinfoil hat on. I don't think that's the case. I think there's breadcrumbs. I think you pick up on them and you read into them and you go with where you want to go. There's other people that are saying that that institutions have recency bias, and the last couple of years haven't been good for the stock. I don't know what your thoughts on that are, Simon, and those comments about recency bias and how institutions may vote.
I can't comment to that, Jeff. I'm not sure.
Okay. Just curious if you had ever, or you or anybody had an opinion on that. It's just something that I've heard people talk about. I don't know if it's got any validity to it or not.
I think I'm shocked at how many shares people don't actually vote. So the majority of the people that I'm in my firm, and we're up in Canada, Montreal, but we're across the country. A little over 30 billion in assets under management. Most portfolio managers are discretionary. What that means is the shares are held and managed by the portfolio manager, not necessarily the client. And I don't think anybody's voting their shares ever. We don't vote our shares. We just assume, you know what, we're too small. We're nobodies. What's the point? We're not going to, if we own 30 companies, we're not going to vote those shares. And I think in the industry, that's pretty widespread, that people just don't bother taking the time. I would be curious to see what percentage of people actually voted or actually cast their vote in the last. Does anybody know that?
Unfortunately, Alexandra's not here. She keeps close eye on all these things. Yeah. Machine, did you have your hand up? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something which I think is common sense. I was applying it to retail investors, but it would be more true even for institutional investors, which would be, why would you vote down a compensation plan that would then probably cause the stock to drop at least 30%? Are your investors going to be happy with you? That you're like, yes, I got the CEO out, but we lost you a bunch of money. I think no one would be happy with that. And I don't take these institutional investors as being very high risk to where they're trying to make a gamble on trying to see if they can kick the CEO out or make him stay, but also not have to pay him. They don't want to deal with this. This is too high risk, and they would just get too much negative feedback from their clients. Whereas some retail investors who bought in the last few years, they might do this, which also would be very stupid. But I don't think these institutional investors are that stupid.
Yeah, I agree with the stupidity. I mean, that your logic is where I'm at, kind of machine. I think I think Alexander shared some data that, I mean, it was a number of large institutions that voted against the 2018 vote. And, I think Elon was a pretty popular CEO at the time. So anyway, it was about half, I believe. So anyway, that was surprising for me to see too. So that's why I brought it up.
Yeah. Okay, Simon, I had to mute you because you were making noise there, but go ahead, please answer that question.
So I don't think that it's not the fact of voting against it. First of all, a lot of retail clients we speak to don't understand it. They actually believe that it will cost. I've had a conversation with clients, and they believe it will cost Tesla $50 billion of cash from their free cash flow if they give them this comp package. So people aren't fully aware or educated. But what my concern is, what I'm saying is that people are abstaining, meaning people just aren't casting their vote. I don't know, I don't know too many portfolio managers or institutional investors in Canada that are voting against this. It's just people are taking the time to actually cast the vote. And according to Alexander Mertz, which she was mentioning, to get him to get Tesla out of Delaware and into Texas. I can't remember the numbers, but she may have said that it's not just getting 50%, abstaining. Actually, more than 50% actually have to cast the vote, and that's the difficult part. Is there's a lot of people that are just sitting on it and not actually casting the vote.
Yeah, that's correct. It's 50%, I believe, more than 50% of available shares that can be voted on need to vote and pass that for that one to pass. So yeah, if you abstain, you're basically against it, even though you may not be.
Yeah, and that's the problem. And I think that's part of Elon's plan is he's going, you know what? Let's try and light a fire under people's butt and get them to get out there and vote, basically. And I think it's working.
It would have made me feel a lot better, Simon, if you said that Tesla board members or Tesla executives or Tesla, representatives actually contacted you and reminded you guys and told you guys how to vote. Not what to say, yes or no, but that this is what you should do. You should please weigh in. But why aren't they doing that? Why haven't they done that?
That's very difficult. Normally, what happens in this case is you hire a proxy firm that go out and solicit. I'm not sure why they haven't done that, but many times when there's a very important vote, you'll actually hire, like, think of it a marketing firm, but it's called a proxy firm, and they reach out, they identify who all the top shareholders are, or who all shareholders are, and then they solicit that, and that firm gets paid to solicit. So I'm surprised they haven't done that. I don't think the cost is, substantial, but they not that to my knowledge, am I aware that they've done that.
Last time we spoke, you said that part of what your decision making is also based on what feedback you're getting from the clients that you represent. Do you think that other portfolio managers in your scenario, the clients are demanding that they vote no? Or like I think you just said it, right? They don't actually know, right? Do you think most clients don't even know what's going on?
No, I don't think they're aware. No, I think we're so dialed into this, us bulls, and I don't think people are aware. They read it in the media. I don't think they really care. Our clients call once in a while and say, "Listen, I received this in the mail. Do I need to do a vote? What do I do?" Like, just leave it. We'll take care of the votes. But no, I don't think so.
Okay. And you're one of the few portfolio managers that actually, use FSD. You actually did a deep dive into Tesla. What's your estimation for the Keyman risk? That must be part of your, thesis. What would have happened to the stock, do you think? How much would it fall? Would you pull out completely? What's your action plan Bs?
No, I think Scott Machine mentioned it, and they were right to the point that this company's it's too far ahead. It's already the success of, if you want to call it, where this company is going to be in the next 5 years. It's already rolling. That momentum's there. If for some reason that Elon leaves, which I would put a less than 1% chance, just in my opinion, that he would do so. I think he'll figure out a way to get his 25%. If anybody can do that, it'll be Elon. But if he did, yeah, maybe you get a sell-off in the stock temporarily, but it shouldn't affect the fundamentals of the business over the next 3 to 5 years. Not in the slightest. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that point is important. It's the path of least resistance for Elon and his 25% and control of Gen AI is through Tesla and staying. The path of greater, because of how far along they are, because of the team he's built and his likeness over 15 years, is why they are where they are, and the momentum behind where Tesla's going with full self-driving, with robotaxi and so forth. But like, just say like, I'm going to extract myself from that and go do it elsewhere, get that culture going, get it ramped up. And again, he's going to be wherever he goes. If he were not with Tesla, he wouldn't have the scale. And you got to have scale to put these solutions onto, to make them meaningful in the marketplace, to get the unit economics right. You have to have scale. So Tesla's too far along on the scale side. They're too far along on the product development side. They're too far along on the culture side, and they're too far along on the human resource and engineering capability side. And it would be a massive, undertaking, and probability of success. Elon, everything that Elon takes on, he like puts a less than 10% chance of success. I mean, I would put it far less than that if he's trying to recreate these things on the outside. It would certainly take a lot longer, and it's not like this is a one horse race. There are other people out there that are trying to create solutions in multiple fields. So I just think Tesla's too far along, and it's too much of a scale lever to just like walk away from. And to me, that's the path of least resistance, is some thoughtful way to get to the 25% is the path of least resistance for Elon.
And Herbert, if I can comment on that as well, is it's not the end of the road. If he doesn't get his 25% through this vote, okay, now we're all aware. How do we get him there? And we figure that out. So I think that the buck doesn't stop here at the end of the vote. I think there's a high likelihood that he'll win the vote. But if he doesn't, who's to say that the next shareholder meeting we don't try this again, right?
Go ahead, Adrian.
I remember the last time we had a situation like this was when the earnings call was about to happen and everyone was panicking. We were sitting there giving our bear thesis, trying to be optimistic. I think there's a very high chance, because it kind of feels the same way, the sentiment feels very familiar, that the stock will absolutely pump, and then everyone, I think the vote is actually going to go through, because it would be stupid if it didn't. And so it's going to be absolutely amazing. I personally think it's going to be absolutely amazing. There's a 50% chance that it definitely will work out. The rest of it is up in the air, but I think by and large, with all the effort that was taken, I think it's actually going to work. And we're going to have a really good time. And for those people who've exited the stock, I mean, this is just an assumption. We never truly can predict the future, can only make estimates of it. I think they're going to be missing out, man. It's going to be crazy.
Okay, Scott.
Yeah, to the gentleman who almost sounds like Elon Musk, if the vote doesn't go through, would you leave?
From what?
Exactly.
Next thing you're going to hear is they're saying, oh my God, we have to figure out who this guy is. This could just be him disguised. We're going to pump the stock. I'm like, yeah, sure, definitely. A meme account's going to pump a stock. Fuck off.
Yeah. Yes.
Excuse the language, but damn, seriously, come on. I've virtually become an IQ test for the Tesla Q people. You can measure a person's intelligence by how long it takes them to basically accept my words as fact, where basically I say, yes, I'm definitely not Elon, and the longer it takes them to not understand that, the less on the intelligence hierarchy they are, the lower they are on the intelligence hierarchy. It's like an idiot test, but it's very effective.
So the reality is Sky sounds a lot more like Scarlett Johansson than you do Elon. It's very clear.
Oh, yeah.
So it sounds like in this panel, we're we're all Tesla bulls, but we're not scared I did try to invite a number of the, Leo Kogwan, Warren Reglet. We did try to invite a bunch of people as well. They weren't able to join this time. Yeah, thank you, everybody. Appreciate you, Simon. Please join again next time. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Follow the Cyberbulls account if you can. Follow the speakers here. They're all just pretty impressive, and, great contribution and great conversation. Thanks, everybody. We'll do it again next week. Bye-bye, all.
I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.